Hey, how's it going? It's Steven here from Powell's Power Ups. Welcome to the overview video for the MHS ScrapFlex that I have for sale. This hilt has been assembled from various pieces from the custom Saber shop and a few others, but we'll get into that. My favorite Graflex from the movies is probably the one from The Force Awakens, so this hilt contains a lot of those attributes. It comes with a custom designed resin printed blade plug that's been two-tone painted with rub and buff. The pommel has a D-ring on it so you can hang it from your belt. Also, the D-ring is pretty stiff, so it won't flap around and make noises when you spin the saber. The pommel insert and D-ring mount do allow sound venting. The fins on this hilt are actually pretty unique in that they are actually black aluminum instead of rubber, adding to the high quality feel of the hilt. The clamp box, switch PCB, and card are from the Great Lakes Saber Company on Etsy. The Saber has a 2-button setup, power and auxiliary, and utilizes FET263's prop file. I have printed off instructions that will come with the Saber to help with operation. Running Profi OS 7, this Saber has tons of functionality. Underneath the clamp card, you'll see the tactile switches and springs that help hold the clamp card in place. If it starts to slide out, just slide it back into place. The glass eye on this hilt is shine through, and so is the blade plug. This illumination comes from the Shtok Custom Works version 3 NPXL blade connector, which is wired independently and for blade detection. Now let's open the Saber up and look at the internal components. The Saber splits by holding onto the upper section of the hilt while unscrewing the handle. Slide the handle down and off the chassis carefully. Here we have my custom resin printed chassis. It's been painted with antique gold rub and buff. I really like the look of metal machined chassis in lightsabers, so the goal as of late has been to design my resin chassis to look like that. This Saber functions with a protected 15 amp button top 18650 lithium-ion battery. When inserting the battery, make sure you support the upper hilt and chassis with one hand while pushing the battery down first against the spring side negative portion of the battery section, and then push in the positive end till it pops into place. You can remove the battery with your fingernail pushing down against the positive end of the battery against that spring to be able to pull it out. The Saber features a 2-watt 8-ohm 28mm speaker from the Saber Merchant. Next up, let's go over how to remove the chassis. Hold on to the upper part of the hilt with your one hand while grabbing the entire chassis with your other hand. In one quick meaningful motion, pull the chassis straight out. This Saber has a removable chassis that utilizes the Saber Merchant's new removable chassis PCB connector set. These new connectors are incredible and provide tons of options for wiring solutions. When reinserting the chassis, make sure you pay attention to these spots to make sure that your chassis orientation is correct when reinserting. As you are pushing the chassis in, you should feel a kind of click. Now let's get back to the chassis and show you a few other really cool features that it has. This Saber features a Proffieboard version 2. Every now and then, for maintenance purposes, make sure that Proffieboard is pressed all the way down into the chassis. Just below the Proffieboard, you'll find the kill switch that turns the Saber on and off. A boot sound will play indicating power. Twist the Saber back and forth to ignite. Now let's check out the crown jewel of this Saber. We can see some little windows revealing underneath what looks to be a crystal chamber. Well, would you look at that, there is one. In this chassis design, I incorporated a crystal chamber with little magnetic covers to keep it hidden. To reveal it and show it off, simply remove the covers, and underneath you'll find a real quartz crystal inside of a Mark I Shtok Custom Works crystal chamber. This crystal chamber is all metal and adds to the weight and high quality feel of the chassis. It's illuminated utilizing a single pixel underneath wired for its own blade style. The covers with the windows are just resin printed with little magnets inside of them that help them stick together to wrap around the crystal chamber. To put them back on, just start with one piece going around the crystal chamber and then let the other snap into place with the magnets. It also free floats a little bit, so you can rotate it around and make the orientation how you like. If you don't like the covers, you can actually just leave them off, and then it will look like this. Which honestly isn't a bad look either. Okay, so going backwards a little bit, I have something I want to talk about that I forgot to mention earlier, which is actually the wire cover. This works to cover wires and the Proffieboard, adding to the authenticity of the chassis, looking like an actual lightsaber internal component. You can easily remove it by using your thumb and pulling up at the gap in the bottom. This space at the bottom allows you to access the kill switch and turn the Saber on and off without removing the cover. Ideally, you would only remove the cover to do configuration on your Proffieboard or add fonts. After you do this, you can put their cover back easily by pressing it down into the chassis just over the Proffieboard while making sure it sits flush for a nice clean look. Now let's put it back together for a little demonstration. Carefully slide the handle up over the chassis and then thread it all the way back on. Get it tight enough that the clamp box aligns between two fins. This Saber is set up to work with a standard NeoPixel blade, and it's also wired for blade detection. There's a single blade retention screw just above the glass eye, right here. Well, that just about does it. You can find everything you need to know in the description down below, and if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments section and I'll get back to you ASAP. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.